Hello everyone, my name is Nicole Avila and I will be analyzing how YouTubers narrate Japanese true crime on YouTube. And so I'm interested in this topic because in my Japanese true crime class, we've talked about how true crime cases were often sensationalized and how they also inspired people to write plays, like songs and short stories. And so these plays, short stories and songs, they all served as some form of news, and sometimes these true crime um like ways of narrating was done to help narrate one's trauma or other people's trauma. And so even in nowadays society, we see how YouTube and other social media platforms like Facebook have become modern forms of news traveling around to people to either entertain them or inform them of important stuff. And so true crime is a sensitive topic given the nature that they are real events with real people hurt in the process. And so it's interesting to me to see how foreign individuals choose to narrate Japanese true crime when they have different customs and just from a completely different country. And so why do these YouTubers even bother posting about Japanese true crime, and are they even respectful? Those are some of the questions I have. And so with that, I'll go on to say well, who am I analyzing for this video? Which YouTubers? And let me pause. So these are the people I'm analyzing. I'm analyzing Coffeehouse Crime, Bailey Sarian, A Lazy Masquerade, and lastly, The Disturbing Truth. These are just a few of the many YouTubers that write about, or verbally talk about true crime, specifically Japanese true crime. And I looked at a lot of their videos, but I'll only be talking about a couple just for the sake of this video and sake of this whole project I have to do for the class. And so I'll just be briefly discussing how they narrate the videos regarding the murders / serial killers, Futoshi Matsunaga, Satoshi Umatsu, and Issei Sagawa. So just before I go over each YouTuber, I just want to talk about what sensational crime writing is. So sensational crime writing, as described by Lawrence Manley, is devoted to the ephemera of gossip and controversy, to the monstrous portents of social crisis and disaster. And I just wanted it to be known that each YouTuber I'm talking about that's posting Japanese true crime has some degree of sensational crime writing, just by the way they narrate it and the nature of them posting the video worldwide on YouTube, because they're posting it on YouTube, so it's going to be worldwide among a community with different customs and agendas. So Coffeehouse Crime, his real name of the YouTuber is Adrian, and he has roughly 1.08 million subscribers, and he posts weekly. He doesn't just post Japanese true crime, he posts about crime all over the world. And out of the 4 YouTubers I'm analyzing, he posts the most content on Japanese true crime. And I think it has something to do with the fact that he gets a lot of sponsorships from Japanese companies like Boxu, which is a Japanese snack box thing. And yeah, he also gets support through Patreon. He has a Patreon, and that's a source of revenue money. And I think it's interesting how some YouTubers rely on Patreon, usually smaller YouTubers that don't have as many followers, but also just it depends on the content as well. Especially with true crime videos, it's very gruesome, and a lot of companies don't want to probably have ads on videos that are talking about I don't know, how someone raped this individual and then murdered them. So I think it's interesting that. And then yeah, he has this very serious tone and narrative throughout his whole all his videos. You can even see in this picture, he's this, I just screenshotted this in the middle of like, I think the video that he did about say Matsu, and yeah, it's just like that's literally him throughout the whole video. Something that's unique about him, I would say, is that he doesn't like, out of all the YouTubers, he doesn't actually provide his like own opinions. Like very little like times does he like offer his like opinions about like the case. He's like very direct and with the content concise, and offers little commentary. And I think that's like good because it like lets you, the viewer, like get to analyze like what's like process what's happening and make up your own opinions that are not influenced by someone else. And yeah, he does sensationalize his content as well. You can even see in this like background picture right here, like he's literally in a coffee shop and he's just like, you can tell like there's cherry blossoms, so it must be like located in like Japan. And that's something he does in his most recent videos of Japan, where he has like the cherry blossoms and this also coffee shop scene. And though in his other like around the world true crime videos, he does not have the window covered by like cherry blossoms on the outside. So I think that's interesting. And another thing I'll just like show you real quick. You can see here is the Coffeehouse Crime does tend to like sensationalize his thumbnails. You see the murder is like at the very center of the picture. There's some words that are bolded red, like axe murder, there was a body, I murdered her. It's the same thing with some of his Japanese true crime videos, as you can see. This is the one I watched, Bailey Sarian, and he quotes him saying, "I killed her so I could eat her flesh." So it just like it's done in a way that like makes you want to like watch the video as a viewer, to like be like, oh, I wonder what happened. Okay, so next is Bailey Sarian. And so she has 6.35 million subscribers. She's one of the most like popular YouTubers I'm analyzing. She does a lot of like get ready with me's true crime videos on Monday nights only. And it's just like basically she's just like applying makeup and talking about it, like these true crime cases. She has like this casual like conversationalist like narrative where she's just like, it feels like she's almost like talking to you, like the viewer, as she's just like applying makeup and talking about what this person did. Like this particular video I watched was Issei Ganawa. She doesn't really post that much like foreign, particularly like Japanese content. So this was the only actual like case that she did about Japanese true crime, and it was mainly because a lot of her viewers like wanted her to do this case, and so that's what inspired her. So yeah, she also like when she talks about this case, like for reference, like Issei Ganawa, he's like he murdered Renee Hartfeld, and then what happened was he basically murdered her. Well, he shot her, and then he ate pieces of her body because he's been always obsessed with like eating people, and he finally did it. And when he did it, he didn't really get punished, and so he basically got away with murder and even got some fame out of it. A lot of people like kind of like support him with like they think it's crazy, and he's written books about like what he did, and how he wants to keep doing it. And yeah, that's like a whole different topic about how the people are sensationalizing crime, true crime, and just like yeah, like what does that even tell about our own like society? Anyway, so she goes over that and she provides a lot of commentary that like kind of like shows you like how she thinks this is like so crazy and how she's totally against this like guy. And yeah, I would say that's like one of the things I note about her is she does provide a lot of commentary that kind of leads you to to like point to like towards her perspective, and like her opinions become kind of like you should kind of like share it, because like it's like influential, like what she's saying. And yeah, I would say that's kind of like what I find interesting about Bailey. Like she also, like as I said maybe previously, like she sells merch, not she doesn't have a Patreon, and it's probably because she also has like a very high following, and she doesn't also just like post true crime videos. She does like some videos of just like about her own self, like people are here for her, not like just the true crime videos. And like just she just talks about stories, not all the time related to true crime, sometimes even just like vlogs kind of ish. So it's just like a lot of going on, and we get to learn more about her than like in Adrian and Coffeehouse Crime. And so yeah, that's Bailey. Now we'll talk about Lazy Masquerade. Actually, wait, one thing I forgot to point out was that um Bailey in her like thumbnails, like they're not like the Coffeehouse Crime where he sensationalizes like the murder. It's like mainly just her face, followed by like some like snippets of like say like the crime case, and like either like news articles or the murder itself pics. Like say like here, and I'll just show you. Like here, it's just her applying the makeup. You see her, and then like say murder, mystery, and makeup. So yeah, that's just all I wanted to say before we move on. Okay, so now Lazy Masquerade. So Lazy Masquerade, he has 1.4 million subscribers, and he doesn't ever actually reveal his real name or his face. This like monster, devilish face is all you're pretty much gonna get from him. And that's how it is like for the intro and the outro. He always has like this like monster face. And like Coffeehouse Crime, he does have a Patreon. And interestingly enough, he also has a Discord so that he can communicate with his viewers, and just like also inform them when he's going to post his next video, and also where people can like offer suggestions or just talk amongst one another, given that they're all interested in his content. And so some of the things about Lazy Masquerade, he just like Coffeehouse Crime, for the visual cues, he has a lot of like pictures that are somewhat related to the crime scene, like where it's located. And he also has pictures of the crime scene itself, like and he does not animate them or anything. And something else that you would see is that he does incorporate music, and just also some like effects to the way like a slide might disappear, like it might fade or something. And so yeah, as for how he sensationalizes, I can show you just like in a bit. But so hold on. As you can see here, this is like the all his like videos he does like worldwide. Also, kind of like Coffeehouse Crime, he does tend to post about cases in Japan. Interesting thing is that he also does like sometimes mention where he gets a source. Of the cases that I watched from him, he did the one called Futoshi, which I found was like he explained it in more gruesome detail. And something that's interesting, he also did the case from Satoshi Umatsu, just like Coffeehouse Crime. And the only difference is that he makes it a lot shorter than this like video of Futoshi. Instead of it being a 23 like minute video, it's more of a like 6 minutes that he goes over it, but just in a concise way. And he does it with other videos. So like if he knows that like some other YouTuber had already like covered a video about this crime case, he kind of like tends to clump them up. And with cases that haven't been discussed, he goes more longer and like has a little bit more commentary, I'd say, and goes into more gruesome details and more images, and like he does like a lot of like mappings, and like I can like show you just right here in a bit. Hold on. For instance, like here he's showing just like how that each person that was involved, and like both like that were his victims, and also the people who he manipulated into killing himself. Because like, okay, so this Vernix's background, Futoshi was this like person who killed 6 to 9 people. It's not like for sure certain that it's like 9 people, but it's like almost like assumed that yeah, he was involved in like the 9 deaths of these people. But anyway, he like basically he manipulated them, caused them to kill one another, and then also gain he had them gain like they gained his respect and cherished him. There's like this whole thing like where he had them do some gruesome stuff against one another, and it's just like very brutal case. And so yeah, it is very interesting because like nobody really covers this case. And as he mentioned earlier, it's like one of the most like one of the most brutal like cases, I would say, that I've seen so far about Japan true crime. Just because of the nature of like the manipulation, the cannibalism that's like happening here, and just like yeah, it's like weird dynamic. And so yeah, like that's like just like one of the ways that he like incorporates. Like you can see like he just like has like as I'm like just highlighting here, just a picture of the whole like background of the city. So yeah, he does a lot of those kind of things, and even with his thumbnails, you can see they're similar to Coffeehouse Crime, and just like the sense that they like are pretty like bloody looking and have like words written in red. So yeah, that's Lazy Masquerade. Okay, so this is the disturbing truth. Like Lazy Masquerade, sorry. He also never reveals his name or his face. So this is what you're getting. Another version of a devil face, except with weirdly large teeth. And yeah, he has 100K subscribers. And yeah, he has a Patreon also, which I guess makes sense because as you'll see in a bit, he has also spooky and dark narrative. It tends to be a little bit more gruesome, and he also adds a lot of more animation, and which kind of is like, I would say out of all of the YouTubers I've watched, he does sensationalize a lot, and more specifically like dramatize his like content, not just with the thumbnails. He also just like includes, like he animates even just the pictures of the victims themselves. And yeah, I'll show you in a bit. And just like a little bit more about the disturbing truth, he actually no, I think that's pretty much it about him. And so yeah, this is all his videos that he has published. You can see here he does have a lot of like a thumbnail that does sensationalize a lot. Like here he has a lot of blood, like words like bolded up, pictures of the murderer, and even he adds like animation, just like blood to the victims themselves, like actual pictures of them. And that's something you'll see. And like some of the videos, he has even pictures and videos, clips of people doing things that aren't even part of the true crime like case at all. Like they're just like random people that I think he just got a clip of or found on the internet, and he's just like adding it here. I'm not sure. I'll show you here in the case of that he goes over Ratman. And here he just like sensationalizes.
On camera, her mother said the report gave her new
choices you make, what appears to be right seems you just have no say.
Like after the double face, he has like that warning.
To your own mistakes, it's easy to play along.
And you can like see how he's like animating the murder, which you just saw. And
Welcome
adds a
back.
rat because
I'm Mr. Black Pasta. This is episode 3 of my true crime series, The Disturbing Truth. This series includes extremely distressing themes such as abuse, violence, sexual assault, and descriptions of murder. The contents of this program should not be heard by any minor ears. Be careful when watching my content around children, and use headphones when necessary. Please do comment, but keep your comments respectful. Remember, we're dealing with real people who lost their lives or had the lives of loved ones stolen from them. Try to keep that in mind.
True.
And yes, I use animation software to make some of the photos in these episodes come to life. My goal with this is not to disrespect the dead, but rather to paint a picture of the subject at hand and give the viewer a glimpse into the moving life of the story. If this method offends you, simply put, don't watch this series. No one is forcing you to be here. Also, this is not entertainment, it's education. Please be aware that I won't be holding back the depraved details of this case, so if you're uncertain about...
It's interesting though, like that's like one thing I just like wanted to like point out, is the fact that he says this is like not entertainment, this is educational purposes. And it all sounds good that he's like putting this warning and like just like letting you know that there's gonna be this animation, but it's done not to disrespect anybody. And because it's educational, you're like, oh, this is great. This guy is like being very nice and polite. But like I just like, it's very sensationalized because the rat man, he like literally adds a picture of a rat that's not related anything to the case. This case is about this like rat man, which is literally just like someone who raped a lot of like little kids and like basically kidnapped them and ended up murdering them until he got caught. And yeah, that's basically what's the case is about. I don't even know if they refer to him as a rat man, or if it's just him that's calling him like that, but it's just like an interesting thing, just like that he's saying that. And then we see here a lot of like animation like here.
Father. They were seemingly a well-respected family, but the fact is, Satomu Miyazaki was bred into the darkness. His mother was reportedly his sister.
Like you see, like he just like has like a lot of animation with his eyes. And then another scene like that I just like thought was like crazy was when he brought up like Japan's like
Fine of around $10,000. I should also mention that the punishment is suspended for 1 year in order to give the convicted abuser time to get rid of the image or images. Yeah, Japan's underage relation laws are pretty messed up. Not only does the country have a common hypersexualized fetish for young girls, but technically the legal age of consent is 13. But that's only with partners aged 14 years or younger. The minimum sentence in Japan for having sex with a female under the age of 13 is 5 years. Even this chart that's meant to simplify understanding of Japanese minor consent laws is mind-boggling. Go ahead, try and work that out. It's commonly believed that these laws are left vague to allow those in power to find legal...
My only thing is this, the fact that he, first off, in the intro, he doesn't mention anything nice about Japan, but like he's not even from this country and he's just talking pretty like impolite. He's animating people's like the victims. He's like doing this like stuff. And although he does put that like that warning and like that it's not supposed to be to disrespect people, it just still kind of come off of that way. And it just like, it's interesting that he adds like picture of like anime when it's not really relevant to the case. And it's not really like, I don't know what exactly it's like, he has to bring up that. And like, it's just like more than anything, creating like a stereotype in my point of view. Even if it's like very sexualized like stuff, like, I mean, there's also very sexualized content in the US. And I don't know, like, have you heard, like, I don't know. I just like think it's like interesting that he like had to like do that. Because yeah, I don't even know if those like in those pictures of the anime like are actual like not are like younger than like 18. But yeah, anyway, besides that, he mentions these laws, doesn't mention anything like about where he's getting this information, like what are they doing to like improve, if they're doing anything at all. And I just think that that's interesting. And like here, another thing he does, like he had this animation.
Sister caught him watching her while she was taking a bath. She screamed, but Satomu exploded with rage and assaulted her by bashing her head off the bathtub. His fury...
Like he adds a lot of like gruesome like these like images and like clips of videos that I don't even know where he gets them from, but I don't think they're at all, I could say, related to the case, like people actually involved, like these people like
almost as if he was seeing himself.
like they're just like cheerful little kids. But yeah, I just think those kind of things are interesting. The one part that I really thought was just like weird to see.
He then strangled her to death, stripped her body,
was this?
and sexually assaulted her corpse on the dirt ground
Sorry.
outside his car. When Masami's body began to involuntarily shake, the cowardly rat got scared and ran back to his car.
He like calls him a cowardly rat, and then like also like I think that's like one thing, how he comments is a lot different, I would say, than the other YouTubers. He does provide a more of aggressive like comments in his videos, which is like just like kind of like adds to like the way he's narrating and just the perception of like what he thinks about this case. And yeah, like so he like in this picture you see here, it's actually just a picture of one of the victims, Masami, like these like little kids that was murdered by the rat man. And he like I don't know, the disturbing truth animates the kid to make it look like he's like all bloodied and stuff, which is really gruesome. And just like I don't know who would really want to see that. Like I don't know, maybe people, I'm interested in this, like if the viewers are more into like horror than they are into like true crime, that could probably make a little bit more sense in the type of like audience group that he's trying to get, or even just like is getting, because it's different from the other YouTubers who don't do that. And it just like raises me the question like whether this is even respectful. Is this like nice to the victims, really? If you're animating, you're not even from the country, you didn't even ask for permission, which a lot of YouTubers don't do. And just like asking for permission about like posting pictures or just like all this stuff. And so yeah, and like the one thing I thought was like interesting is like in the end, like I didn't know what to think about this. This was like kind of like a like I couldn't tell if this was like supposed to be horror or if just a little bit of humor, like humor. Let me just show you. He has a picture of like he kind of curses and like adds like some of his comments about the rat man, which the rat man wasn't great. So I mean he's right about that, to go off, but I don't know. The way he goes off is kind of interesting. Let me just like find it, sorry. Oh, just right before I mentioned that other clip, which I thought was weird. This one I thought was like kind of like adds kind of to like that stereotypes about like anime and just like foreign people's like point of view of Japan.
His killings caused a moral panic in Japan that accused anime and horror films of making him a murderer. Various newspapers claimed that Miyazaki had retreated into a fantasy world of manga as a result of his neglected upbringing. But I don't buy that shit for a second. Every person on Earth is responsible for their own actions. While outside factors like mental health and upbringing do play a role in one's future, you are ultimately responsible for the choice.
Yeah, that's like kind of like, so he does like provide a lot of like interesting information about like the like just like the laws that they have, or like what people like are saying on the news that aren't necessarily like how like Japan is like working to get better at this. It's more like what they think like, oh, like this fear that maybe this is what's causing this. That's like something from Japan, like the anime stuff. And so I think that's interesting, like because a lot of people don't really know, don't read into anime or anything, so it's just like they might be like, oh, maybe it's a good thing I don't read anime. So yeah, and then he also just goes more to like his comments about like this like person and like does a rant about it. Let me just like show you. Okay, I found it.
And let him die a slow, painful death. After all, you don't feed a rat human food, and no one wants a rat hanging around. I know, I said no jokes. But fuck Satomu Miyazaki.
Yeah. Anyway, that's the one thing I wanted to show you, like just the rat image, like he just throws it out there, like it's like also obviously like very sensationalized, like very dramatized narrative that's both spooky, mysterious, and just like very one-sided on like how he feels about the case. I would say instead of being more like leaving the user, sorry, CS, CS brain, more of the viewer's point of view, just like understanding like what's going on and just like making their own opinions. Yeah. I just wanted to go over some of the like comments from each YouTuber and just like how they vary according to like how they narrated the video. And so like here, like Cass, he just like feels like he can ask Adrian to possibly just talk about a case that happened from his hometown in Nuevo Leon, Mexico, and just like spread awareness about the case. And I think it's like very like interesting because I haven't really seen anybody ask about whether like the Lazy Masquerade or like the Disturbing Truth, if they can cover a case like from back home to just like spread awareness. I think it just like shows that Cass can like feels like he can rely on Adrian to like give out the news and spread awareness while also being respectful. And so yeah, I thought that was very interesting. This case is this comment was written particularly in the video about Issei Sagawa, but obviously it's not really related to any of that. And these are some more comments. You can even see Coffeehouse Crime, just like, again, it's just like saying to grab your favorite coffee while just like watching the video, of course in a British accent that I can't do. And he mentions his sponsor, Boxu. Then we see down below, people are just like talking about like, hey, like this is like awful what happened. I really hope that the family is doing better, like things like that. And just like they have like a more like respectful and like also like kind of like sad tone. People are just like expressing their condolences and just like saying how it was very unfair about it, but like what happened, and but they're doing respectfully. And yeah, like this one, we see it's sad to see that Renee's family and friends never got to get the justice they deserved. And yeah, they're just like kind of bummed about what happened because he got away with murder, basically. And then yeah, so like with Bailey Sarian, like we see different vibe, even for just the same like true crime case, Issei Sagawa. We see people like saying like, Bailey, here's the story, and then me grabs a snack. Bailey, it's just about cannibals, and me debates whether to put the snack back or eat it. And just like a lot of people have like thumbs up these comments, and just like they're kind of like they're like funny comments that you like read, like sometimes like just like seem kind of like memes, but they're not. And what people are doing is, of course, they're it's not they're being like disrespectful or anything, I would say. It's just like more of a way of like engaging with one another and just like or not engaging, but like just talking with one another about what's happening and like just about like how like Bailey's like talking. It's very like casual and yeah, I'd say people are yeah, like here, like just say her poor parents not only had to see him free, but watch him become an icon. And it's like they're expressing how awful they just like feel the case was. And yeah. And I think this comment, this one I saw at the very top. And this one was just like literally like this lady, like 74-year-old, basically just showing what a lot of people like go for, like Bailey's content, which is basically just for her, Bailey, and her personality, and just like watching her put on makeup because she's really good at it. And so yeah, I think it's funny because like she also mentions like how she thinks it's kind of weird to like hear her talking about these kind of things. And yeah, just like lot of like people here. Some of them are even commenting about like how Bailey mentioned the butcher within the Sei Sagawa's case, which is something she mentioned. Like she does this thing where like she mentions peculiar details, something that like I didn't see with the Coffeehouse Crime case. When he was talking about the case, he never mentioned the butcher, but Bailey did. Of course, she mentions a lot of like peculiar details about the crimes, but it just like kind of adds to it, I'd say. Like with this butcher, she just like talked about like how if it weren't for this like butcher, maybe like Issei Sagawa wouldn't have learned how to like cut up a body, like maybe like committed the murder. And maybe that's just something how the butcher has to live with. But yeah, because like that's what like Issei actually just walked up to a butcher and asked him like how do you cut things, and like all these like specific questions, and like the butcher was just like really excited that someone is asking him about like all these like things that he does for his work. But yeah, for Lazy Masquerade, we see a different like and like just like tone with like the viewers. They're a little bit more on the aggressive side in terms of just like how they're not necessarily nice or lighthearted. We just like see people like, I don't get how he wooed so many girls into giving him millions and living and lives looking like that. Confidence is really key. Dude really looked like a Kermit the Frog. Like it's like kind of like supposed to be funny, but like it's also kind of disrespectful. But yeah. And then yeah, we just like see how people like wonder why he even needed this money, and like just like yeah, like just like some of these comments, like how they couldn't possibly think it could get any worse than the nadir of my life, which is the Lazy Masquerade, and then it gets worse. And so yeah, Lazy Masquerade, like you see like these two comments, he's like asking, like encouraging people to like ask, just like tell him about like cases from their own country. And then like I also saw this like comment from Melancholy, and I thought it was like particularly like interesting because it just like shows like how people may be like interpreting Japan differently now just by watching his video. The way he narrated it, like because like in Lazy Masquerade's video, he does mention about how Japan tends to be like a very safe country, and it's like one of the safest countries. And while he says that, he then proceeds to say, but they have the most like when they do have true crime cases, they're pretty gruesome and just like very crazy. And so I just think that's interesting because it's not really true that like every case, like even here in the United States, like right, like there's a lot of true crime cases, and the majority of the time they're not actually like cases like Ted Bundy and stuff. But we like as we are when we're not like used to hearing about like these like cases, like crime cases, we tend to just like think about the most like exotic ones like that are out there. And so I think this is just an interesting comment because people are just like misinterpreting now like how the country is, and like just based off of one video, really. And so yeah, with the disturbing truth, the people are a lot different, and it's just like also like very influenced by the disturbing truths like narrative. Like we just like see how people are like also just like interpreting Japan as like having a culture that's like probably not safe for children to be outside on their own because like of child predators. Like they're like somehow this person just thought that like I guess like Japan had no crime cases with like child predators. And I don't know, I don't know, like some people like I don't know why they comment this because every country is going to have some level of crime cases, but it shouldn't be like it is like tends to be one of the safer sides like Japan. So that's why probably these like parents like didn't like think about this like happening. I just think it's very interesting. And then like this other person just like mentioning like the zero sympathy, like how they love that about him, like how he like is like very aggressive and within like how he describes the case, and just like also just like talks about Issei Sagawa, or I mean, sorry, not Issei Sagawa, the Rat Man. And so yeah, this one like I thought was like kind of like funny, because like that's true. He was like very very mean to about like rats in general. But yeah, I think it's so interesting because this person like so like liked him for his content, and this other person's like excellent content, and then like so he didn't like mince the words, and talking about this kind of trash, what this kind of trash deserves. And yeah, I think it's interesting. Just like makes me wonder like what type of people like watch his like content. Could it be like, again, like just like the people who like horror more than they do like true crime cases, because like he does animate a lot of it, and he makes it look a lot more gruesome, right? Because like he added blood to the pictures of the victims. Um, so it is more of a horror representation, and we see just how people even tend to like reply differently to about this kind of stuff. Even with Lazy Masquerade, I mean, like I wouldn't say like Lazy Masquerade is as like comments a lot as Disturbing Truth did, but it's just like I guess like the dark and mysterious like tone that he has, and just like devil face adds to it. Whereas like right, like we see with Bailey, it's like more conversationalist and just casual, and just talking about it, like how crazy this case is, basically is like the vibe I'm getting from her. And whereas like Coffeehouse Crime, you just like get like this is a serious like tone, like narrative, and he's talking about it's like to keep you up to date about like some of these cases around the world, and because like you're interested in these things, you find that very intriguing, but he's not gonna really comment about it and like give it his opinions. So just like doesn't give that as a viewer to really comment about that or anything about his perspective. Okay, so now that we talked about each YouTuber's narrative, their how they sensationalize their content, and just like yeah, just like in general, like how that influences the viewer and the way that they comment. Now we can just like talk about how YouTube serves as a form of news in general, and how it just like connects to like from my class, like in which talked about a lot of about early Japan. And so I would say just like in general, like some of like the similarities are just like the fact that like in early Japan, right, it started out orally, right? News. People would hear true crime cases like by just like listening to friends, or just like what they heard, like rumors spreading. And then it just like proceeded to being like just from like short stories, like ballades, and like songs that people like either would say like when hearing the true crime case, or were like as an inspiration, and it's just like based off of that. And we see that here like on YouTube, people are just like by the nature of it being on YouTube, it's said orally, like people are speaking it to you. They're not going to be like, it's not going to be on paper. And we also see other similarities, like just like the fact that people can choose to remain anonymous or not, which in early Japan, a lot of people, it was a status thing to like keep your identity hidden. And well, unless you were very well known. And well, I can't say for sure if that's like the reason why these people like Lazy Masquerade or the Disturbing Truth choose to like stay anonymous. It does like, it's a similarity in the sense of like the style of the type of news that's similar. And yeah, we see all the other characteristics, just like all these people on YouTube are not like actually professionals who have like some background in crime. I highly doubt Bailey like is like a professional, like there even is a profession for Get Ready With Me's and just like talking about true crime stories, but she's amazing at it. uh, but that's not the point. The point is that there is just like, there wasn't like some profession for that in the early times. And just like other things is like people aren't citing their sources. Even back then, people didn't cite sources. Like here you rarely, like I think Lazy Masquerade is the only one that mentioned it briefly in his Futoshi video. And so yeah, and like just like in general, all these people, they when they're talking about these cases, they don't actually ask for permission. They don't say that, and I highly doubt it that they would really ask. So yeah, nobody's asking really for permission, and there's just also like this like they're like looking for these like information when sometimes it's not very easy to find. Like Lazy Masquerade and Adrian have talked about it, like how hard sometimes it is to get more information about these cases. Like um I think Lazy Masquerade mentioned that he couldn't even like when like he didn't know about the case about Futoshi, the mind controller, until like one of his friends in the country in Japan told him. So yeah, I think there's just like, it's like that process where people are going in depth, like just like trying to dig into this. And why is it so hard? Like it's because like the governments in these countries, like right, they don't want this information to be out, and just because it might paint the country in a bad image and stuff like that. Like even as you saw, like some people are misinterpreting Japan as just like being very unsafe, when that might not necessarily be true, especially since like as like Lazy Masquerade and Adrian pointed out, like like it's actually a pretty safe country. So like when I think like it's just like in general, like when talking about like these like sensational true crime writing, it's important to take in consideration the narrative. The fact that you are watching this is not really just to be informed for educational purposes. It is like because you're intrigued, you want to learn more about these things because like you just love it. You love learning about true crime cases. Whether you think that's entertainment, I don't know. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to comment. But yeah, and so I think that's like some of the similarities that all these people have, and just in common. And I think it just like opens for sure like the door for like what is the ethics behind like all of this like stuff, is like what based off of like the narrative that people might have. And yeah, I don't know. I definitely learned a lot by just like watching a lot and just like talking about this. And I hope you all did too. I guess like one last like thing that just like might like intrigue you, because I just thought about it right now, like but like whether just like how like a lot of these like videos like about these like true crime videos, YouTubers like tend to post them one after another, but like they're not all like recent true crime cases. Like some of them are from like 5 years ago or like 7 months ago. They're not really recent. But it becomes like it's like recent because like you see that like just as soon as like one YouTuber posts it, you see like 3 weeks later another YouTuber posts the same case. And that's interesting. It might actually be just because of viewers wanting a specific YouTuber to talk about that because they want to hear their perspective. But it's like very interesting to think about that, and what that really means, like how like news, like these cases were at one point like heard through like news articles and stuff, and like maybe people might have like it might have actually been on some other like social media platform. But yeah, it's just like it's like becoming new again, new content to be told. And so yeah, anyway, thank you for listening. Have a great summer. Bye.